Canada. Bad Canada. Today's video is covering the Canadian company Tim Hortons and how they are using their app to steal your information. They got found out, they done got caught, and yeah, that's not good news for anybody. Me as an IT professional, I'm somewhat of a scientist myself. You know, I knew it was only a matter of time before those Canadians, you know, with their beady eyes and their flapping heads, and you know, did something like this. But in all seriousness, there has been many publications that have actually covered this topic, and we are going to go to The Verge to actually research that now. So, on The Verge, it says Canadian government slams Tim Hortons for using its app to spy on customers. Tim Hortons used its mobile app to collect vast amounts of location data from users, including tracking when they visited competing coffee shops, says Canada's privacy watchdog. Yesterday, the Office of the Privacy Commissioner of Canada released results of the 2020 investigation into the coffee and donut chain, demanding it delete any remaining location data and limit future collection. Tim Hortons, the commission says, has agreed to implement those regulations. So this app was actually figuring out, they actually went further than that, because I actually saw some of the code that they were using, and it knew by latitude and longitude roughly where your work was, roughly where your home was. And then using that information, they actually had triggers in their app to say, like, left work, left home. Like, oh my God. What's crazy, and I'll get into what you can do to protect yourself in the future. Obviously, the best way to not allow your information to be stolen is not give it to them. So be careful what apps you use. You know, look at the permissions, things like that. So anyway, let's keep going. Full report outlines a sweeping, invasive attempt to deduce Tim Hortons customers' behavior in order in targeting advertising at them. Although the company apparently never actually used the data for that purpose, it notes that in May 2019, Tim Hortons updated its mobile app to collect granular, frequent location updates from users' phones. America geofencing platform Radar and analyzed patterns in the data to infer where users lived. Exactly like what I was saying. When they worked, when they were traveling, the app's near constant collection crashed with statements that it only gathered location information when the app was open, and Tim Hortons only updated its disclosures when Financial Post published an article exposing its detailed data collection. I actually call BS on that one, because how often are you going to have that app open? If it knew where you lived and it knew where you worked, there's no way you'd be like, oh, I'm on my way to work, better open up my Tim Hortons app. Like, no, you would never open that up unless you were like literally going to Tim Hortons. Maybe you stopped at Tim Hortons every morning, but no, there are options for you to select that option, saying like only allow this permission when the app is open. That you probably have seen that on your phones with different apps, but I highly doubt that this app was only used when the app was open. That's bull. No way. Okay. According to records reviewed by the commission, Tim Hortons sought the data to support trend reports saying customers were switching to its competitors as of the COVID-19 pandemic unfolded. That is because your workforce sucks. I'm sorry. There's a couple Tim Hortons that were around me, and I don't know if this actually happened to you guys, but there's a couple Tim Hortons around me that actually, like, couldn't man enough staff to actually stay open. There was a Tim Hortons like 10 minutes from my house. During the pandemic, they didn't have any workers. Like, it's like everyone quit at the same time. So that, like, maybe their bad pay, you know, bad salaries made people quit, or their bad treatment of their employees caused them to quit. Either way, they are at fault, because there was a good probably 3 to 6 months where a couple of the Tim Hortons around me weren't even open. They literally weren't even open. I would stop to get coffee there or donuts or whatever. They'd have a sign saying like, you know, we're not open, blah, blah, blah. It's like the middle of the day. To track shifts away from downtown locations and towards closer to home suburban ones, its radar-enabled analysis generated an event whenever a user visited one of the Tim Hortons competitors, including McDonald's, Starbucks, Second Cup Cafe. It also checked when people were visiting major sports venues. It flagged people when they left and returned to their place of business. The commission found that radar generated an average of around 10 events per day for each user. Okay, so do you think these people had the app open for those 10 events? Do you open up your Tim Hortons app every half an hour to make sure that it updates this? This is why they already what they already said has already been debunked in the same article. Like, oh, we only use the location data when the app is open. 10 events per day. No. No, there's no way. It's impossible.
That's impossible. Search your feelings. You know it to be true.
Tim Hortons apparently considered using the data to run tailored promotional offers based on where the users were located, but it ended up refocusing its efforts and used it only to broad trend-based analysis. The commission notes that even if the data was used, it still was stored by default for a year, and although it's supposed to be anonymized, numerous studies show it was not hard to identify individuals based on supposedly anonymous data. Tim Hortons discontinued the program in 2020, a few days after the investigation was announced. So this is, I mean, are we even surprised now? Let's finish the article. Many smartphone apps track users' movements, including that give third-party broad access to data. Some restaurants even have openly promoted their tracking programs. In 2018, Burger King encouraged people to download the app and order discounted Whoppers when they're in the vicinity of a McDonald's. A Skiff Table report from the same year found that many restaurants' apps tracked users without clearly disclosing the practice, but Tim Hortons was apparently no longer one of them. It says that its apps now use location data to identify nearby locations for placing mobile orders. The commission uncovered no evidence to the contrary. So let's be real here. Your information and things like this are not exactly safe. I'm gonna come out with another video on how you can protect yourself on the internet and on your cell phone, things like that in general. But you know, it's not surprising. The tips that I'd have to say regarding this video in particular would be, don't use any apps that you don't absolutely have to have on your phone. You know, I know they get you in there with points and membership rewards and things like that, but you can even drill further down. I know Android has the ability to actually go in there and tailor the permissions to not allow location services, you know, mic, camera, all of those other things. So if you're ever wondering about those permissions, look that up. I'm not going to give you, you know, exactly what to do here. This is not a tutorial video, but I would urge you to, you know, take a look at your own permissions for the apps, figure out what you can actually change, see what it's trying to actually, you know, what it's asking for in terms of permissions. So if you get the McDonald's app and you're opening it up and it says it wants to know your GPS location or location services, if the option is used when only the app is open, that's kind of okay, because maybe you can make a online order with McDonald's app and it's using the location to figure out where the closest McDonald's is. That's fine. But to just give it location access, for instance, across the board, basically what the Tim Hortons app did, that would then cause the problem of it knowing and tracking you. Obviously, we've had instances of where you ever been talking with a friend about something and then next thing you know, you're getting ads for that thing that your phone wasn't open. I mean, it's pretty obvious that a lot of these apps are using your mic, they're listening to you, all of that other stuff. So then it goes further. Like I said, don't download any apps that you don't actually need. If you are concerned about privacy, from an IT standpoint, it's kind of laughable, because if you're using a cell phone, you're kind of giving up that information willingly. Well, maybe you don't know you are, but you are. You know, to think Google makes money off of you selling your information. That's how they stay in business. They offer you all of these things for free. Gmail, you know, Google Photos, you know, blah blah blah. I mean, of course they have paid versions of both of those things, but they offer you a wealth of apps 100% free without charging you anything. But the price is your information. So the only way to stay truly, you know, secure and private, VPNs are not the answer either, because even if you have a VPN, it may encrypt the internet data, but it's not going to really encrypt the GPS data or stop, let's say, the Facebook app from listening to your conversation by turning on your mic or something else like that. So the only way to stay fully out of the loop and not have your data stolen is don't play into the game that don't have a Gmail account, don't have an Android phone. You'd really have to switch back to a flip phone, but that's for a whole nother video. So anyway, guys, that is going to do it for the video. If you like the video, hit that like button. If you dislike it, hit that dislike button. I don't care. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.